I just love sneakers, and it was like mainly like the finds that like drove me. Like I was like, you can find these really cool sneakers for really cheap, and I was just so amazed at it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Reseller's Journey. Here is your host, eBay Joey.
Welcome to A Reseller's Journey Season 2. I am your host, eBay Joey. Today's guest is one of the youngest resellers that I have met. We are in a resellers fantasy football league together and are playing each other this week in the playoffs. You can find him on Instagram posting all of his finds and other resellers' finds. In addition, he has over 15,500 followers on Instagram, and he has a YouTube channel. He goes by the name SneakerFinds12, but his friends call him Robbie. Welcome, and thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, my pleasure, man. I know we were going back and forth during season 1, and now that our schedules work, you're here for season 2.
Yeah, glad we could make it work.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the people are going to be very excited to find out about your reseller's journey. So let's get into it. How did you come up with your name?
So pretty much I was just looking at sneakers, and then when I was at the stores, and then I started taking pictures, and then I just made the account, and then I'm like, I'll name it Sneaker Finds. That was taken, and then I just did Sneaker Finds 1, 2.
Yeah, is there any significance for the 1-2? Is like 12 your favorite number?
No, not really. It was just the first two numbers. I just did it.
Yeah, it made sense. So I noticed that when I interview people on the East Coast, they use the word sneakers, but on the West Coast, sometimes you'll hear the term kicks or tennis shoes. Is that something that is used on the East Coast?
Sometimes kicks, but mostly sneakers. I don't really hear tennis shoes too often, unless it's like an older person.
Okay, so you could have been called uh instead of sneaker finds 12, you could have been kicks finds 12, but it doesn't sound that good, so I'm glad you went with
Yeah.
that sneaker finds. So where are you based out of, sneaker finds 12?
I'm from Connecticut.
Okay, what part of Connecticut?
I'm towards like the New York border, towards kind of like the middle area. So yeah, pretty close to some New York Nike outlets, but
Yeah, for the people that are listening, what states are around you?
we got New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, but Massachusetts is not even close to me. It's like 3 hours away.
So if you wanted to go into New York or New Jersey, roughly how long does that take?
New York, I mean, there's a Marshall's like right over the border. It's like 15 minutes away. And then for the Nike outlet, it's actually closer than the Connecticut one. It's about an hour away. But
Okay.
the other one, the Connecticut one, I've never been to. It's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah, that can be pretty far, man. Especially, you got to factor in your gas to get out
Yeah.
there. And then let's say you don't find anything, then you can, be in some trouble.
Yeah, and there's no other stores around to make up for it. So it's just got to get lucky.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. So were you born and raised in Connecticut?
I was actually born like just over the border in Brewster, which is like right near me, Brewster, New York.
Okay. So how long have you been reselling for?
I've been selling since about last June.
Okay.
So yeah, so a little bit over a year now.
Yeah, for the people that are watching, they can see you and you're a young guy, but the people on the podcast, they can't see you. How old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Okay. So that means if I do the math correctly, Robbie, you started when you're 18ish years old?
Mm-hmm. Yep, like pretty much like right after I graduated high school. Like literally that week was when I got like the first shoe to resell, just like off a Nike release, the Travis Scott 4s, and that
Mhm.
pretty much kicked it off the reselling.
So growing up, have you always been a sneaker guy, or do you call yourself a sneaker head?
Yeah, I've always loved like the Nike basketball shoes since like 8th grade. I was on the computer making those Nike ID custom ones on the website. Used to love doing that.
Nice, nice. What's your favorite Nike shoe?
Um, I'd say I really love the LeBron 11. It's so uncomfortable, but I just love the way it looks.
Did you ever hoop up in that LeBron 11?
I actually didn't get it until recently. I used to want it so bad, but then I couldn't get it, but I got it recently and just the toe box it's like a brick.
That's how I feel about the 11s, man. I'm 36 years old, but the 11s have always been my favorite shoe, and it could have been, when the movie came out, Space Jam, even though the colorway is different. But now that I'm older and I can afford it, I was like, you know what? I can't wait to get this shoe, and I don't even know if I'm gonna wear it, but I can't wait for this week when they release so I can get myself a pair.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Are you gonna get one?
I'm thinking about it, but then I'm like, I don't really know if I'd wear it too much just because, like, patent leather, it's a little shiny, creases, but it is a classic shoe. And the only other thing is it's 220.
Yeah, that's pretty steep. So I can understand this. I mean, understand that. You talked about that you started reselling after high school or as soon as you graduated. Did your parents say like, "Hey, you got to go get a job. You got to start making money. You got to contribute," or was that just something that you said, I don't want to get a job. I want to hustle."
So actually, I did get a job later in that summer also, but for the sneaker thing, like they didn't really know anything about like you could make money on sneakers or anything. Like when I told them, they didn't really like believe the idea. They're like, "What? That doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone pay $300 for those sneakers or whatever the amount is?"
So you're telling me your parents were not believers when you said, "Hey, I want to be a reseller."
They trusted me, but at the same time, they were like, "I don't know about this."
Yeah, no, I think for a lot of people that are in your situation, I think about it now as in my mid 30s. I tell myself like, man, if I was 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, if I lived with my parents, I'd rather be a reseller. I'd rather, have my own schedule. You'll probably make way more than minimum wage at some big corporation that, you're probably not going to enjoy it. Did
Yeah.
you think about going that route? Like just, well, you did get a part-time job, you said, right?
Yeah, I got a job at a grocery store in the area and worked the seafood section.
Hey man, I love seafood. Uh, what motivated you to get started?
Pretty much I just love sneakers and it was like mainly like the finds that like drove me. Like I was like, you can find these really cool sneakers for really cheap, and I was just so amazed at it.
Do you remember your first find that just kind of hooked you?
Um my first find that really I think it was probably I found these my first like good find was probably these Kobe 11 Elites at Burlington. Like they're those black and orange ones. Some people might remember them, but
Mhm.
yeah. So that was my first really good find. I sold them way too low, but you learn.
Yeah, I absolutely, I think similar to you, and I think a lot of people that get into this reselling game when you first start, I think you really do struggle with where to price your items. Do you remember what you sold it for and then maybe what you should have sold it for?
I think I sold it for like they were going for like around like 100 just because so many people were finding them. I think I sold it for like 95 or 90 or something, which it was $60. So I realistically probably should have just held on. And I think I saw someone post a couple of months ago they sold a pair for like 190 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, I noticed that myself. I officially I've been reselling, with the sneakers in January, and it seems like once, I mean, let's say there's 100 shoes out there, and once you find that shoe, sometimes the price tanks, sometimes it's pretty steady, but let's just say it tanks. Sneaker Finds 12. once the low ballers get out, or the people that are just taking the price get out, it seems then you start to see that that value of the shoe like a stock. It just kind of shoots up. But when you first start, it's difficult to be, to hold for the long
Yeah.
haul.
Yeah,
It-
it's definitely hard to be patient in the beginning.
yeah, and why do you think that is? Like, it's difficult to be patient as a new reseller.
I think just everyone just wants to get their money back quick because not necessarily everyone's starting with a lot. So they're like, oh, but this isn't selling. I have to sell it for really cheap. Or they're just like, I'm just going to make my quick $20 or something.
Yeah, why do you think resellers don't want to return anything?
Probably because it just feels like you kind of failed. Like it was just you feel like bad about yourself. But I mean, in reality, it's just a learning mistake. I mean, you shouldn't return like 50 shoes to like the Nike outlet. Like that's unfair to do to them. But if you're returning one shoe here or there, okay. But
Yeah, I was very bad in the beginning, man. When I first started, I was so embarrassed that I would send my wife back to the store and she would have to return them, or if and I just it was just embarrassing. But like you said, you really do feel bad returning. But like today, I did a return and it was only a one pair of shoes. I thought it was gonna do something special. It didn't. I was like, you know what? Let me just get my money back and be a
mhm.
little bit smarter next time. So what stores are you currently sourcing at?
So pretty much Burlington, Marshalls. I mean, not finding much at Marshalls, but still going. TJ Maxx just started getting men's shoes. Haven't found any good ones, but and then the Nike outlet, Adidas outlet, pretty much those. Occasionally, I'll go to Plato's Closet, but that's the extent I go to for thrifting.
Yeah, and then I noticed you didn't mention Ross. Is there not any Ross in Connecticut?
Yeah, sadly, there's none in Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts. The closest one is 3 hours away in New Jersey.
Wow, have you ever been to a Ross?
Yes, I've actually been twice. The first time it was on like a trip back from Pennsylvania with family, and then the second time I went to my dad. He worked in New Jersey. This was like I think last or this summer, and so I was like, "Oh, can I go with you?" He left at like 4 in the morning. I went with him, and then it's like I dropped him off at work, and then I just went to all the Rosses in the area. I think there was like three, and then
Nice, not
yeah, tested it out.
yeah, awesome. Oh, what does your sourcing schedule currently look like?
So I'm going to like my local Burlington pretty much every day, besides maybe Sunday, just because I don't feel like much comes out on Sundays. Marshalls, I go unless it's hot, I go like 2 to 3 times a week until it gets like really good. But and then Nike outlet, I'm only able to go like once every few weeks just because it's so far. Nothing else is around it.
And then how about the Adidas outlet that you mentioned you go to?
It's in the same spot as Nike, so basically the same thing.
Okay. So your local Burlington, is that like your main, main operation where you do find a lot of stuff?
Usually like especially when it's hot, it can be really good, but then when it's cold, I mean, sometimes I don't find anything there for like a month or something or a few weeks.
Yeah, since your Burlington is, you say that it's local, are you going more than once a day, or is it just like four or five? Are you going like maybe once a day rather than several times a day?
Usually it's once a day unless I happen to be coming back from someplace and I'm passing there. I'm just like, oh, I might as well stop back in.
Okay. Um, what platforms are you currently selling on?
Right now I sell on Goat and eBay.
Okay. No StockX?
Not since the whole hacking thing. I don't trust them.
Yeah, man, I think that probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It's almost like getting food poisoning. You just, you can't forget about what happened, and psychologically it's just hard to move on. Out of those two that you're selling on, which one's your favorite and why?
Definitely GoDap, since you don't got to worry about the returns, or it's just such an easy process. You just get your shoes sold, usually for more money too, and then ship it off. And then for me, it's usually like a day, just because it's so close where I ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah.
So, with how many items do you currently have in your GOAT inventory?
On GOAT, I think I have probably like 40 to 50 shoes, probably, I'd guess. And then eBay, I have like somewhere like 60 items around there.
Yeah, what are you selling on eBay?
Shoes, cleats, sports equipment, like those gloves everyone was finding a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball bats, softball bats, whatever I can get my hands on.
Yeah, are you trying to, what's the ideal inventory amount as far as items, or maybe it's a dollar amount that you want?
Usually, I mean, it depends, because I don't really like set a limit. I just don't want to buy like stuff that I'm gonna regret. So I just make sure that the find is special, and then if it's special enough, it can make it into my inventory, and then I'll do as many as I need to. But usually it stays around that amount.
Okay, so would you say you're very selective as far as what you buy in the stores?
Yeah, I'm pretty selective, I'd say. I just, from my prior experience in the beginning, just buying like everything that I saw that I thought was cool. Yeah, so now I'm learning to be more selective and make sure to do the research.
Yeah, so right now I notice on Instagram there's a lot of cleats starting to come out. Now there's the pros, which are little, I think it's one tier below the elites. If you came across some pro cleats, would you purchase them?
I actually came across one, and I decided to pick that one up just to test it out. And then if it sells well, maybe I'll pick up more. But for the pros, unless it's like a really nice one, I try and stray away from it, just because elites are king, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you get a better return. And speaking about a better return on the cleats, what is your business model for your business?
So usually I wanna, if the shoe is $60, I wanna make $50, or let's just say if it's a $20 shoe, I wanna at least make a quick 60, or make more than that, like a $20 cleat, make 140 or something.
Yeah. How quick are you flipping your items? Like how what's like your turnover?
I'd say it could take, it really depends on the item. Some items move in like a week, some take a month, some take like 6 months, the bad
Mhm.
buys. But um yeah, usually it just pretty much depends.
Yeah, I think it really does depend, man. I just had a sale. I believe it was last night or 2 nights before, but I've had this item for 168 days, and I was just like, okay, it was a I bought it for 35 plus tax, and I sold it for 150. It was a size 15, but I was like, this is the first time I got an offer. Let me just take it, get my money, and then I want to invest it in something smarter, because for me, 168 days, I get it. You got to be patient in this game, but there's times where the capital can become an issue, and it's just like, well, I want to go buy more items so I can grow the business.
Yeah, sometimes it's just better to just cut bait, just take your small profit, or break even, or even I wouldn't take a loss unless it was just a shoe that just tanked like completely, or something like terrible happened to the market. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I don't think you should ever take a loss. I mean, it's all situational and everybody has a different business approach. But I think, it's probably better just to give it away than to take a loss.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
maybe, yeah, maybe a family member, or you just never know. Sometimes that's a good thing to do. Um, One thing that I know about you, and maybe people don't know because I know you, and we play fantasy football. together and all that good stuff, is that you have another Instagram account. Can you talk about what's the name of it, why you came up with it?
Yeah, so I created it. It's at SneakerDeals12. I just decided because I'd post on my SneakerFinds account on the story. I'd post my online deals, and people are like, "Yo, where'd you get that deal?" And that's crazy. Like I remember specifically when I got those $35 Air Max 270s. That's what made me decide, oh, I'm gonna start this, because I had so many people like DMing me like, "That's crazy," and then. Yeah, so I decided I should just make a whole account to just share all those.
Yeah, and how's that going? How has the response been now that it has its own account?
I think it's been pretty good. People are liking it. I'm glad to like the other day someone commented, "Oh, I copped those Ultra Boosts in the last size they had," and then that makes me feel good that I helped someone get something that they wanted.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it is awesome, man. I think I mentioned it even in season one, but just helping people and not expecting anything back, it's a great feeling. And um, I think the more you do it, the better you feel. Why do you feel, Robbie, that a lot of people don't source online?
I think they just don't realize that's an option. Like they don't think, oh, the sales don't go that low. Sometimes they go lower than like the Burlington or Marshalls prices. Like there's some crazy sales out there.
Yeah, I think it with the what is the return like on an online purchase? Because I've seen some of your, I think you do Finish Line. I don't know if you do Foot Locker, but I know Finish Line is the one that really sticks out the most because I've seen it several times from you on your story. But what are the returns like from these online sourcing?
Um, it depends. Like those Air Max 270s, I sold one of them. Like I got two pairs. I copped 11 and a 13. I sold the 11 like after a few days for like 140. And then the 13 I actually just sold today on Goat. I think it was like 125, 120, something like that. And so those are the last things I think I got from like a Finish Line sale, just because they haven't really had any like crazy ones. So I also like when I try and do like when a sale's like really good, but then occasionally like if there's not that many good sales, I'll just do like good personal cop sales.
Yeah, so how do you find out that there's a deal going on? Like take me through the process. Let's say tomorrow, for example. Tomorrow's here. Take us through you finding something online and then posting it with the world.
Well, occasionally I'll like just scroll through Finish Line just because I know they do good deals. But then also I follow this account, Soul Links, and they just are the best. They post literally like every single deal possible, and they've really helped me get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I started following them because you had shared that, and I follow them on Twitter. And but for some reason, man, my Twitter's like it's posting it like a day late, and then when it comes out, and then I click on it, it's like, well, I'm a day late, man. How am I going to take advantage of this?
Yeah, I always make sure I turn on like the notifications. There's like 50 notifications a day, but it's worth it when there's that one good one or that one like limited sneaker release. They're also good on that. It always gives the notification, and yeah, very
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, that's awesome. So can you say the Instagram name again for the people that are listening?
It's at SneakerDeals12.
Yeah, and now with Sneaker Finds 12, you have a lot of followers, man. Very impressive. Kudos to you. When I wanted to interview you and we're working things out, I believe you're at 9,000 followers and now you're at 15,500. Tell us how you were able to get that many and you're still rolling, man. You're still growing.
So pretty much, when I started the account, I would literally share like every find like with accounts, and then when I got like a really good one, I would make sure to get that one, try and get that one featured on other accounts like Outlet Hunters, Stay Puffed, Profit Finds, like those kinds of accounts, and so I would just when I got a really good one, I'd see a huge bump in followers just because so many people are like, yo, he found those, so they follow.
No, that's awesome, man. Recently, you posted top 10 finds because I noticed that your account, people do send you stuff and you ask and you post, but it's the end of the year. It's December. We're recording this. What made you want to do a top 10 sneaker find? And I believe you also did a top 10 cleat find, which was football and soccer.
Yep. So pretty much, I mean, I just love seeing like all the finds, like it's crazy. And I thought, why not try and just put all the best finds from 2019 onto a list and just so everyone can see it.
Yeah, did people send you their pictures or did you just kind of remember what you saw?
Pretty much some people sent me some, and then I also messaged people and asked for permission to use their photo. And then that's how I got a couple more of the top ones, just because I remembered seeing some, and then I wanted to use that for my post.
Yeah, so what was your favorite what was your favorite cleat?
The favorite cleat, that's probably the number one by at Operation Hustle, I think his account is. He found those super flies they were on the tied with the off-white ones, but they're 1 out of 154, and he found them for $20 at Burlington. They go for like 1,000, 1,500 plus.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. And then hop off for the sneaker one, the top 10. Which one?
That's tough, but I have to say the Sean Witherspoons, just because the profit is so high on those. And he found he got the last 3. They had like 80 pairs at a Wisconsin outlet, and he got lucky and got the last 3.
Yeah, I think I saw someone in Europe with those.
Yeah, they were found in a couple European countries. I saw someone found them in Turkey. So it was mainly not the U.S. finding those, but then until that group of people found them in the Wisconsin outlet.
Yeah, I thought District Deal should have been number 1, Robbie. You broke my heart, man.
Oh, yeah. That one was really good, too.
Yeah,
so it was
that
a tough
was,
one.
man. You should have picked 2 number 1s, man.
Yeah, I would have
if 1B.
if I could have.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that was very cool. I think it just puts in perspective how amazing 2019 has been for resellers and how much opportunity is out there. And I think 2020, man, it's going to be even better. I'm excited just because I'm growing and I'm learning and meeting awesome people like yourself, man. But in 2019, Robbie, did you take an L during 2019?
Yes. You take a lot of L's through this, especially in the beginning. I remember during the summer, I went to the outlets, and then I was like, oh, I'll pop into Under Armour real quick. And then they had these Project Rock ones, and they were on like the clearance wall. They're $89.97 plus like 30%. So they ended up being $64 each after tax. And it was size 7 and 8. Luckily, I only bought 2 pairs just to test it out, and they just got like no traction, like couldn't get any offers or anything. And then I just have to keep lowering and lowering the price, and then I raised it back up, still nothing. And then eventually I just ended up cutting one of them loose. I sold it for like $75. Just wanted the money back.
Yeah. So what did you learn from taking that L? Because I believe as a human, as a reseller, you get better from your failures or, those opportunities where you just, you messed up, you dropped the ball. What did you learn from that?
I learned that I'm going to just listen to my gut, because I was feeling funny. I was like, I don't really know about these, but I just learned I got to be confident in my find. And if not, then I'll just leave it.
Yeah, that's important, man. I think I did talk to in season 1 when I interviewed Still Kicking Sports. It was that you got to trust your gut, and I think you do trust your gut in critical situations in life, whether you're driving or, maybe you're dating a certain person, and you just got to trust your gut along the process. But for me, I bought these rock backpacks that were just everywhere, and I bought 6 of them. Haven't sold any, and the price is still $80 to $100. I mean, 100 if you're lucky, but it's just like, you think it's a great opportunity, but then in reality, it's not. So, what was the biggest W for 2019 for you?
I probably have 2. I'd say when I found those PSG times Jordan cleats, they were $20, and so when I picked them up, I knew what they were just because I had seen them online, and I was so hyped. I didn't know they went for as much as they did, even at a size 6, and I sold it for like $225. It took like I think it took like 2 months or something, but it was worth the wait. And then my second one was so you remember those New Balance times Grensons? They were like those. They look kind of like cowboy boot style New Balances. So yeah, I picked it up and I was like, "There's no way this shoe goes for a lot." And then there was like comps for like 200 to 300, and I was just so amazed.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Every time I hear New Balance is selling great for so many people on Instagram, I just can't get the New Balance green ones that I bought that I still have. So hopefully 2020, man, I can get rid of those things.
Yeah, maybe a rise in the market.
Well, every reseller says you got to have patience. So I'm going to have patience with this one. So Robbie, something that I'm doing new for season 2, I have a new segment. It's called the Rapid Fire. I'm going to throw a word at you, and you just got to give me the first word that comes to mind, or if there's a couple words, whatever comes to mind, just fire away, okay? So these are going to be shoes.
Okay.
Nike.
Money.
Adidas.
Eh.
Puma.
Yeah.
How about Reebok?
Classic.
Okay. Fila.
5th grade.
RBX.
Burlington Coat Factory.
And then how about we're gonna throw this one in there? X-Ray.
Yeezys.
Yeah, those were funny, man. They do have some. I think they have some Yeezys and those 270 knockoffs, man. But yeah, that was pretty cool, man. Just trying something different in the podcast. So where can people find you on social media, Robbie?
At SneakerFinds12 on Instagram, and then same thing on YouTube, SneakerFinds12.
Okay. And then we also have the Sneaker Deals 12. If you want to find all the, online sourcing. Now, what have you learned in 2019?
I've learned that it takes patience in this game. Like, you can't just expect to make money right away. You just gotta, if you're patient, the money will come. Just like I used to sell some of my finds for too low, and then I learned like it's better to just hold, because there's times where you don't find something for a couple of weeks, and then you just sold your stuff for too cheap, and when you could have just been selling it for like $20-$30 more.
Yeah, no, well said, man. I think that's key, especially regardless of how long you've been a reseller. I think that's the right way to approach it. Unless you're in a pinch and you made a bad decision,
Yeah.
And you need to unload something. But, I've even heard people that, when they make a bad buy, they hold it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man. SneakerFinds12, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Good luck to you this week. I know, when this episode airs, our matchup will be over. So hopefully I am victorious in the playoffs.
Hopefully I get that W.
We'll see, man. But I know I'm an underdog for everybody that's listening. So root for me, and hopefully, for resellers that play fantasy football and you're in the playoffs, good luck to you. Let us know what happens in the comments below. I want to thank the audience for tuning in. You can find today's guest on Instagram at SneakerFinds12 and SneakerDeals12. Please visit the show's website at a resellersjourney.com, where you can find a link to my Instagram at eBayJoey and the show's Instagram at a reseller's journey. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe and follow on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Remember, never forget why you started.